Hey everybody, welcome back to the Electronics Workshop. So on the bench today I have one of my cable testers that I picked up quite a few years back when I was doing, and still, I guess I still am doing quite a few DJing and live sound events. But I picked up this PYLE Pro PCT60 for just kind of keeping in my toolkit and my cable box so I can test cables if I'm running into issues when out doing pro audio and DJing things. So first things first, I bought this and I had issues with it pretty much the day I bought it. It was not cooperating. It was very intermittent. The switches were bad, just acted really goofy. And I kind of just threw it in a box, didn't even worry about it. Kind of just said, well, the heck with it. I can use a multimeter and figure it out. But this has been sitting in my garage workshop storage area for my equipment, and I figured I better take a look at it because I'm thinking I might just scrap it. I'm not sure. I might strip the connectors off of it that I need for other things at some point down the road. But let's see if we can resurrect it. Well, first things first, I left the batteries in it, so that's never a good thing. And it did do a significant amount of corrosion on this board. I've started polishing, but the first thing that I saw was a factory bodge. At some point, this board had gotten damaged during the manufacturing process. And what I found was on this bottom corner, you can see there's a little solder here, there was a bodge wire run across, and it wasn't very well done. And then there's a real fine trace here that runs over, and that had a bodge across it. So whatever happened, something happened to the edge of this board that had damaged it. Now, obviously, the battery leaking did not help the situation much. But this had a problem from the get-go, and it, I mean, I'm not going to blame it 100% on the battery in this case, but I do want to say that it seems like they should have just thrown this one in the bin and started over. One thing that I will say, so they demand a decent amount of money for this. It's over $100 new from PYLE. And that's not really a name brand that I recommend you buy, but they demand well over $100 for this stupid thing. And the battery tray, they literally just took a soldering iron and scratched some scuff grids into it, put some glue on this, and the glue actually is kind of that brown glue that you see in electronics that causes trouble. Now, I know the battery leakage was not a good situation for this, but the glue actually made things a little bit worse. So all they did was they just hot melt glued or laid some component glue on this, stuck this down to the board, and then that's how they do it. So this tray isn't even mounted to anything. It's real bad design. Of course, with the Chinesium stuff, there is a main IC on here that is likely some type of a PIC or microcontroller of some sort, but they have sanded the top off of it. But we see we do have an oscillator crystal or an oscillator here for 4 megs. We have an array of LEDs. They decided to go all with red, apparently. Would have been kind of nice if they would have put like yellow in this row because this is the intermittent test. Green would have been nice to have in the connection side of this to show that that's good. And then I know there's some other lights here. There's tip. And there's some test. So these are status LEDs, and that could be fine for red. But anyway, the array of LEDs they used on this could have been colored differently. Another cheesy thing I found about this is the switches. So what they decided to do is they just hit it up on a belt and they sanded a portion of the switch so that it would work in the housing so it wouldn't bind up. Well, manufacture it correctly and you don't have to modify the switches. Same thing with this one. You can see it really predominantly. They literally just clipped that off or sanded it or something. Looks like they just clipped it with a flush cuts, but real janky. I mean, it's not screaming high quality. Another thing I ran into is, let's take a look at this side, and we'll zoom out. So this is your actual interface board for your through testing. It has a nice array of different types of connectors for your pass-throughs for testing as well. MIDI, USB A and B type, RJ45 cables. Looks like some type of a audio jack of sorts that I'm not overly familiar with. It's not 3.5, it's not quarter, it's something else. RCA. Now, again, they went with an off-the-shelf here, so this is not a stereo pass-through. You actually have to loop these two to find out if it is a good cable or not. And it's a go or no-go test. It's not really like a impedance matched or nothing. It's pretty rudimentary. 1/4-inch tip ring sleeve, 3-pin XLR, 5-pin XLR. We have speak-on, which I think this is 4-conductor speak-on, right? Yeah, 4-conductor speak-on, and we have 8-pin speak-on as well. They did a breakout cable set for binding posts. That's what all these little bits are here for the binding post type connections. Real kind of cheesy binding posts. And then they have the, what do they call this? 4-pin DIN pass-through. So those are all kind of on the side. But one thing I wanted to point out here, so this one I had issues with. A couple of the ports didn't work at all. And there's some not so fantastic solder work on it, but I did find right here, there's some broken solder joints. So it's not fantastic, but another thing that I found too that's a little janky is they ended up, to fit these 8-pin speak-ons in here, they ended up basically just hitting it up against the sanding wheel, and it was crudely done to trim back to trim it back to make it fit. I mean, for crying out loud, I don't... Anyway, not great. It looks good from the outside, but the inside is sketchy. So I got some resoldering to do on this, but before I even look at that, I've got to get this working and get it correct. Be kind of nice to use it, have it fixed up so it's usable. I have to fix some problems here. I'll probably have to remove the LEDs, and that way it frees up all this space. Clean up all the pads. Get in here with my polishing tip on my Fantech F2 Master rotary tool. Give that a buzz over. Clean up all this tarnish. And then double check for broken traces. Make those connections again, and we should be in good shape. Top side has a little bit of damage. I'll probably just try to polish that up by hand, up on this edge where it kind of leaked through a little bit. We'll double check it, but anyway, just a kind of a cheap, junky tester, to be honest with you, for what they charge. It's kind of wild. I'm gonna look it up here real quick, but I believe it was like $114 that PYLE is asking on their website for this particular tester. Are they still making it? That's the next good question. And That I don't know. So eBay, they're selling used for $70. I honestly think if you just go and buy the Hosha one, you're probably better off. Although Hosha's not really a fantastically rated. They're cheap connectors, cheap cables, and the tester is probably pretty cheap. But let's look at this. Yeah, $114. A 13-in-1 cable tester quickly delivers accurate continuity information about many different cables. There, sure. It's just, it's iffy. It's not great. I don't recommend buying one, but anyway, I got a little bit of work to do. I mean, if I can make it work, great. It'll be one of my quick and dirty meters. I'll trust it a lot more once I get done with it. Once I do get all this polished up, cleaned up, and finalized, I'm going to coat the back of this board with some acrylic or enamel paint. I'm going to clean up the battery compartment a little bit better. Once I've got that done, I'll probably maybe lay down some fish tape to give a little bit of an insulating factor from the battery to the board, so in case the batteries do leak again, I can have a little bit of a feeling of safety on that. And then I'll probably just run some double-sided sticky to stick it to the fish paper. So that's that. I will probably be doing a little bit of work on this one off camera, and I'll show you maybe how it looks after I'm all done, probably swearing at this for a little while. But hope you guys enjoy the nerdy moment, and we'll catch you in the next one.